Hello everybody, this is Matthew O'Rourke representing Team 3, which is also made up of Lacey Lautner and Todd Astroff. I'll be taking you through the presentation of our Capstone project, which is a road hazard reporting app.
So the first part of our application was the need. What's the problem we're trying to solve? And we discovered that there's no good nationwide application to report traffic issues. Particularly, there isn't one that reports it to the appropriate jurisdiction. There are many apps out there, some that just report issues, others that are to a specific governmental entity, but this is really tricky. The user doesn't know if it's going to the right place. For instance, the federal government, you would think, controls interstates, but they don't. Maintenance is actually deferred to each state. And also there aren't great systems that alert other users to these problems. So when our team looked at our application idea, we looked at it through the lens of an HCI designer and tried to really narrow in on what it is that we were going to be focusing on for our research. What we decided to do was threefold. One, we wanted a real-world, intuitive application that people could use, particularly while they're walking, biking, or driving. We don't want them to do that, but we think it could happen. We needed a good, clear information architecture that is very close and really equals what the user's mental mapping would be. This will only speed up the report of the issues. And then we wanted to evaluate this through user testing to see how close we got. So the first part of our research was to analyze competitive products. We looked at 6 of them. We wanted to see if there's any common taxonomies, best practices, or common features. What we found was that reports don't always go to a government. You can report to other users, but not necessarily to the people that can fix the problem. They rely heavily on user population, and that ease of reporting is essential to high use. And we have a couple examples here on the right part of the screen. What you see is one application called Wazi, which is very user-based, and it has these clever little icons, and you can see different report types, and it really does inspire users to use it. It's fun. A really different example is the North Dakota Department of Transportation here. It's a very basic map. It's what we call geographic information systems based. It's very matter of fact. Menus are very hard to see, and it's not that heavily used. So the second phase of our research was a card sort. What we did was, from the common terms that we saw in other applications, we put those out there as issues, and we asked 10 participants to card sort those or put them into issue categories. What we found was, first, we had requests in front of them, which was an oversight. It did affect somewhat what we saw, and we needed to correct that. Also, that weather, traffic, and signs, they grouped together really easily. You can see some of those groupings here. What we also found out was that some terms just are hard to put into a category, like graffiti or fallen tree. And this we'll see again as we go through the rest of the presentation. So the next phase of our research was to get our user research into a design. So each team member went out and created their own wireframe. The 3 wireframes were put together, and best ideas were pooled and incorporated into a low-fidelity prototype for testing. And at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to one of my teammates, Todd, and he's going to walk you through that low-fidelity prototype.
Hello, my name is Todd Astroth, and I'm going to show you a quick demo of our app. By default, you are presented with the map screen, which shows different blue points around the map, which represent issues reported by other users. However, for purposes of our prototype, we're just focusing on reporting an issue. So we'll click Report Issue. On this screen, we're presented with 6 different categories of issues to report. So we'll click Road Weight. And then on this screen, we see further subcategories. We can select obstruction. And then there are these categories to choose from, so we'll select abandoned car. Additionally, you could add additional details in this box in text format. You could also add a photo or video. And then, more importantly, there's the location. You could, if you use your current location, that'll just use your phone's GPS, or you could type in a different location. Once you've done that, then you click Submit. And then you get a message saying that the item has been successfully submitted. And then based on your location, it then tells you the contact information of who is responsible for fixing that issue. Then once you click X, you're back to the home screen. And that is the basic functionality of our app.
So with the low fidelity prototype created in our mental mapping or information architecture set, we set out to see how close we got, and we did that with the usability test. We had 6 participants, and each were asked to complete 3 separate tasks. Each task was basically to report one issue. The 3 issues we asked them to do were an abandoned car, a broken sign, and a pothole. We did this because they represented a spectrum in terms of how easy they were to group with different other related into a category. We wanted to see just how close we got and how far we were off. What we discovered was the interface was easy to use. Users were able to report an issue in less than a minute, no matter how they went about it. But we did determine that uncommon issues, such as an abandoned car, they didn't map well to what people thought or where they thought they should be. The users often defaulted to just reporting it under other instead of continuing to explore the app to find the right category. In conclusion, what we were able to determine was that we achieved our original product goals. We were able to create an easy-to-use interface that mapped reasonably well to users' expectations in terms of how they would categorize issues. This wasn't perfect, and based on what our results were, particularly with the other, I mentioned that happened in the card sort, and it came back again when we were doing the user testing. There's just some pieces that maybe users can't mentally map, and maybe they shouldn't have to. And so what we would propose for further research through the next iteration is a little more time spent learning how users would best navigate through the application, gain some insight into what the most frequently used categories would be so we can have them front and center, and do some A/B testing to increase the efficiency of the application. Thank you. I appreciate your time and listening to our presentation, and good luck with the rest of your degree, unless you're done like the 3 people in our group. Then happy graduation. Thanks.